Brrr. Are you feeling that chill in the air? Well, today let's talk about the cold mother syndrome. There's a chill coming in from the east, and it's not a good feeling. Emotional abuse can show in many forms as we're growing up from a parent. In many of my videos, I refer to being loved too much, taken over, smothered by a mother, in fact. But today, let's flip that around a bit and let's look at what it's like to be the recipient of coldness, a distant, removed mother. That brings up symptoms of its own for children who are raised in this environment. So this is also called an unemotionally available parent. They may not be respondent to their child's needs. So if you're wondering if this applies to you, you're not quite sure, here's some ways it may show up. She's dismissive of your feelings, like they don't really matter, maybe even tries to tell you that you're not really feeling what you are feeling. It can be very rigid. Everything's very black and white. You feel like a thing, like a robot. There's nothing called love brought into the family dynamics. The whole point of having a family is to insert love into raising the children. If an adult's not ready or willing to do that, then they need to think twice about having children to begin with. The mother making it clear in different ways that her needs come first. If you're a kid and you press your mother about this, they may say, "You're too much for me. I can't handle you," as a way to not have to deal with the real issue that it's about them and that they're being emotionally unavailable for the child. The mother may not really care, not even be interested in what the child is doing. They certainly are giving off the message they don't want to spend time with the kid, don't want to make eye contact, maybe talk to their child like they're not really there. They're talking at them, not to them. Now, the coldness doesn't necessarily have to take the part of a negligent parent, but it can. Maybe your clothes aren't washed and clean when you need them. Instead of preparing dinner for you, let's say you're 6 years old, she just says, "Oh, go to the fridge and find something on your own." They rarely are going to be able to see the child wholly, who they really are. They're zooming in on just a part of them, perhaps, that they don't like and they don't want to be around. That's what the coldness may be about. They certainly are not going to show you or model for you any kind of acceptance of who you are, that you're loved unconditionally. You're my child. I love you no matter what. You're not going to get any of that. They're not really attuned to you at any point in your life. There's no real connection. You're a kid growing up. You have new interests, new hobbies, new friends. They're not picking up on any of this. They're not able to have conversations with you about this. And worse yet, she's really not even interested in what's going on with you. That's when it gets really, really hurtful, because the child begins to think even more so that they don't matter. Why am I even here? Which then ties into wanting, of course, some empathy from this parent. At some point, please just give me a hug. Tell me you love me. Show me you love me. A child is desperate for that. And when they don't get it, that's when they may start acting out. And that's a whole nother video in terms of how they may act this out. This can range from running away, to taking drugs, to making an attempt on their life, failing at school, and on and on. Well, these things are so hurtful. As I'm saying them right now, can you imagine being raised by a mother like this? You're an infant, you're a little toddler growing up, you need love. That's what makes us human. It's all about the connection, the attachment, hopefully a healthy attachment. So when we're denied that from the get-go, way back from infancy through early childhood and so on, it's going to have a very negative impact. It's trauma. Can you imagine crying in your crib for hours and you don't have your mommy to come in there and check on you? We need that. Pick you up, hold you, let you know everything's okay, even though they may not even be sure what's going on, but they're going to just offer some reassurance. Half the time, just being held by your mother makes the baby, the toddler, feel better already. So when this is not provided, of course, it could impact our ability to trust, be intimate with other people, develop healthy relationships, and on and on and on. And a mother like this may not have the intuition, the sense of when to remove themselves because a child does need space. Just let the kid be alone for a while. So now they're intrusive when they don't need to be intrusive or shouldn't be intrusive because it's not helpful. Or times when a child really does need and crave and want the mother's attention, they don't give it. So it can be really confusing to the child, because sometimes mom does come in the room and check on me. Let's say the kid is now 10 or 12, but it's always so emotionally unpredictable. There's still no attachment either way, but it's not a good fit. And when there's not a good fit, a good bond between a parent and a child, that's when emotional suffering can occur. This unloving mother may try to justify her behavior at every turn if she's called out on this. especially when the child gets older and maybe brings this up right to her face. Instead of taking some responsibility for it and owning it, it's going to worsen things if she keeps dodging and minimizing what really happened. Because now the child feels, even as an adult, let's say a 25-year-old, trying to have a conversation about this, a better understanding, talk it over with her, she still tries to avoid it. She's still pushing away the reality of what really happened. She could gaslight, twist things around, deny it even happened. Oh, it's your fault. You were always such a needy child. Placing it more externally, in fact, blaming the child even, rather than take any ownership that it involves her. She's the mother. She's the one who's supposed to work on herself and be in a place to properly and healthily mentor and guide and raise a child. She's the leader, not the child. The child is dependent on this woman to guide them into adulthood, help them find their wings. And they're not going to be able to do it very well if the mother is cold and unloving. But then what's interesting, sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes this said parent, this cold mother, may be the cool mother perhaps to other kids in the neighborhood. Perhaps she can talk politics with them very eloquently. Or she's the cool mom who lets them get away with more stuff at your home than they can get away with at their own home. But talking about things such as politics, which perhaps she is good at that, let's pretend, again, is very remote. That has nothing to do with the ability to connect with their own child. But the point is that you may have a mother who does well with others, including the other kids in the neighborhood. So if you're a recipient of this, maybe it's time to process this a bit with a therapist, right? Go over what your childhood has been like, the impacts on you. If you're paying a price, how are you paying a price? You don't have to suffer your entire life for what in essence are your mother's emotional problems that she's never dealt with. She, of course, would need to look inside of herself and understand, why am I so distant with my own flesh and blood, my own children? Why do I not want to connect with them? She needs to figure that part out if she ever does. But for the child, I'd encourage you to do some therapeutic work to understand your value, your essence, all your potential, and you'll be reparenting yourself as you go through the process. So feel free to leave some comments below. I'd love to hear any thoughts you have about the cold mother syndrome. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.